Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. In my last video I talked about nationals being cancelled. But then I remembered there's another old guy race that I could do. The Huntsman Senior Games, also in Utah. At the end of this month they're going to announce that they're actually going to be able to have these games. In the meantime, that gives me motivation to keep up on my climbing. I've been feeling good lately, and I wanted to test myself on climbing with some fast climbers. Unfortunately, the only climbers I can find were considerably faster than I was. By the end of the ride, with a combination of getting worked and the heat, because it was a high of 106 that day, that's where I put the temperature down in the lower left-hand corner. We started at 7 a.m. I was pretty worked, and then I was feeling a bit down on myself. When I was putting this video together, I actually got to remember how well I did. Keep in mind that well in this case is a relative term. For this first part, we are on a 9-mile undulating climb. Ruel has jumped away from the group and I got on his wheel, and now the rest of them are back there and we are just pushing the pace. Actually, he's pushing the pace and I'm just hanging on his wheel. Ruel has done over 100 double centuries. He's one of the 4 climbers that I'm measuring myself on this ride. Now, they're all about the same size. I don't know their exact details of their weight, but I know one of them. So these 4 guys range between 125 and 140 pounds. And I have reached a low of about 165.5 pounds this morning. The ranges range from about 13 to 20 years younger than me. Therefore, as you can tell, I have my old guy excuses ready to go. Fast forward a bit, we just rounded off that previous climb, and then we immediately started on this steeper section. Now, for whatever reason, I'm thinking that I can go faster, so I say on your right, and then I start to pull through. That's really a pretty stupid thing to do for me. Stupid only because of how well these guys climb. Fast forward about 20 seconds, and even though I've been going over 300 watts, Ruel easily goes ahead of me, and then just drops me. I don't let up. I'm thinking he's got to ease up, so I'm just keeping up the pressure. I'm still doing high 200s, low 300s. But then he's still just pulling away. Fast forward another 15 seconds, Rocky has left the group, caught me, and is just easily passing me. Fast forward a few minutes and I'm still pushing it. I've topped the other climb and I'm working on topping this climb, and I'm caught by the other 2 climbers, Kelly, who just passed me, and Ricky. This is actually a good time to be caught by them, because over this hill there's going to be a pretty long straight, and so that's going to give me a chance to rest. I'm not going to be in the front, I'm going to be on these guys' wheels. Fast forward a few minutes where we traversed a number of small hills. We are now starting on the penultimate climb. Kelly in the front has been pulling all this time. Ricky was content just to sit on his wheel. Where Kelly was starting to slow down just a bit, I thought I'd give him a rest. So now you're seeing a 164 pound, 65-year-old guy giving a 52-year-old, 125-pound climber a rest. Again, fast forwarding. I had taken the other 2 to the top, and then I pulled off, and then Kelly went to the front, and now we're starting on the last climb. And again, for whatever reason, I decide, well, I got to go to the front. So that's what I do. I don't know where Ricky is, but I'm sure he's very close. This last climb is a steeper climb, and the steeper part is coming up now. Now, I started to slow down just a bit, and then Kelly went back to the front again. Now, it's getting steeper as we're getting closer to the top. Ricky, all of a sudden, makes an appearance on these climbs, and he just jumps up there, and I'm going, man, I wish I could do that. So I'm still going after them. I'm thinking they're going to slow down. At least I'm hoping they're going to slow down. If I can just get on their wheels and crest with them over the top, then they can pull me into the first rest stop. It doesn't look like they're far away, but at 6% it's pretty tough. I'm still holding parity with them, so I am thinking that maybe I can just do this. I'm pulling like over 300 watts right now, and they're still not coming back. Kelly is about 40 pounds lighter than I am, and Ricky probably something like 25 pounds. So at 6 and 7%, yeah, that's quite understandable. At a certain point, I just run out of gas. And I figure, okay, I'm just going to rest now. I got people behind me. I'll get in before they do. Then I'll get in some extra rest before the main climb. Ruel starts us off at the bottom of the main climb. We actually cut this main climb into two sections because we have some slower climbers with us. The first section is pretty steep at 1.75 mile. And we get to the top of that, then there's about a mile of false flats, and then the rest of the climb goes for about 6 more miles to the top of the initial climb. So this first 1.75 mile climb, we're going to stop at the top of that. Now, Ruel is pulling us away. So I'm on his wheel still, and the others are staying back a bit. And these guys, again, are so strong that they can just jump up and whenever they want to us. If you were looking at the wattage numbers as we started off this climb in the upper left-hand corner, you'll notice that I started off at about 250 watts being on Ruel's wheel. Slowly and steadily, Ruel would increase the wattage. As I approached 350 watts, that metaphorical bungee cord would start to stretch. I would start to yo-yo, and eventually I'd have to give up contact. After being dropped, I kept on the pressure. About a quarter mile from the top, I was joined by both Rocky and Kelly. Being able to stay on their wheels to the top was not a foregone conclusion. I am noticing that with my power now topping out around 300 watts to try and stay with these guys, that I'm starting to use up all my power bananas on this ride. Eventually they pull away and I solo up to the regroup point, thankful that we have slower climbers and I get to rest. After we regrouped, I paced on most of the 1 mile false flat section. As we approached the 6 mile second segment climb, there were just 4 of us, the 3 strong climbers and me. While the pacing at the beginning of the climb was comfortable enough for me, I figured it wasn't going to stay that way. Rocky, on the far left side there, decides to start laying down some watts, and he starts to put in a little attack. I get on his wheel. What the others are doing, I don't know. I would imagine they're right behind me or darn close to it. Ordinarily, doing over 300 watts in this type of situation would be taxing for me, but it would not be a killer. I've used up a lot of power bananas in this ride so far, so staying above 300 for a moderate amount of time may not be in the cards for me. After just a bit, I have to drop about 100 watts just so I don't redline. Soon thereafter, Ruel comes past me chasing after Rocky, and followed by Kelly. Kelly's now chasing after Ruel. I'm now back in the high 200s chasing after them. Ordinarily I can maintain this for quite a while, but since I've already used up a lot of power bananas and it's getting a little warmer out there, I don't know how long I'm going to last. I later found out that was about 4 minutes. That's the amount of time that I can kind of keep pace with them. I can keep them in sight and just have a thought that I can just catch up to them slowly. Well, after that 4 minutes, I had to drop the wattage even more. So that new lower water just kept it up, and then I just met these guys at the top. I'm hankering for a tri-tip sandwich. I'll try again in a little bit. Okay, so I got to try and climb with some real climbers. So you see how that turned out. At least I can use the old guy excuse that they're younger and they're a hell of a lot lighter than I am. Good workout. It just shows me what I need to work on. Okay, I'm going to go back a little bit and looking for a tri-tip sandwich.